Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of NBA 2K18 My Career Offline. I am Jose Sports Gamer back with another video. Before we go into anything else, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos. Also remember to check out my other channel, The Dynamite. I have finished the Life is Strange Before Storm series. And also I just started the MLB The Show 18 series a few days ago, so make sure to check that out as well. So, without further ado, let's begin this video. So, I have some bad news for Lakers fans out there. The Lakers are eliminated. I mean, it was a bit obvious for a good time now. But honestly, was it really shocking for me when I realized that the Lakers were officially eliminated? No, honestly, it wasn't really that big of a surprise knowing the fact that they had a tough road ahead of them to begin with. It was not going to be an easy road for them. It was going to be tough for them to even have a chance to actually make the playoffs in the first place. But there was always that sense of hope that the Lakers would actually make the playoffs, because they had that time where they were riding on winning streak after winning streak, and it seemed like they actually had a legitimate chance. But right now, eventually I came to a realization that they were so far behind against the other 2 to 3 teams that they were actually fighting legitimately for a playoff spot. I just came to a realization that it might not work out this year. But I will give them props though for making things interesting this season. At the very least, they will potential free agents could consider the Lakers being a part of the Lakers team after this starting this next offseason. Who knows? I'm not gonna say they're gonna get LeBron or Paul George, but at the very least, they will kind of consider going to the Lakers, knowing now that they have a better team that they have had over the past few years. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how the offseason turns out, because it's gonna be very interesting to see who will make the Lakers a destination for them. We also gotta see how Isaiah Thomas will be impacted with all this, because he might be a free agent this year, and if he considers not to stay with the Lakers, then I'm not sure how that's gonna impact the team overall. Like, for a good chunk of the year, they could play. Throughout all those winning streaks, they did it without him, and I don't know. Like, honestly, I'm not sure how that Isaiah Thomas situation will pan out. I'm actually quite okay with them not being on the team, but at the same time, I could see him being part of the Lakers roster. Like, you could put Isaiah Thomas at the shooting guard and Lonzo Ball at the point guard, or Lonzo Ball at shooting guard and Isaiah Thomas at the point guard spot. And then try to balance the rest out. Kind of see how that goes. But then, if that were to be the case, then you gotta ask yourself, what's gonna happen with Kyle Kuzma? Is he still gonna be a part of the second string, potentially starting out from time to time? What's gonna happen with Julius Randle? Is he gonna be a starter or not? Then another question: what will happen to Brook Lopez? Is he a long-term plan? Is he on the long-term plan for the Lakers at this point? Like, this year he hasn't done as well as he used to in years prior. But then again, that might just be because he's been on a considerably better team that he's been on the past couple of years with the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, let's be honest, the Brooklyn Nets are a disaster of a franchise at this point. I mean, do they have potential? Could be, with D'Angelo Russell leading the squad. There could be a possibility. But honestly, I'm just not biting on that hype right with the Brooklyn Nets, because honestly, they have made wrong decisions before, and they're bound to make wrong decisions again. I'm not saying that other teams are not bound to make wrong decisions. It's just that when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets, like Stephen A. Smith says about the Dallas Cowboys, they are an accident waiting to happen, or most likely they're an accident that has happened already, and they're bound to happen yet again in the draft, free agency, whatever. Right now, all eyes will be on the Lakers offseason. Will they get LeBron or Paul George or both of them? And what will happen with Isaiah Thomas? And what's going to happen in the future with Julius Randle, Kyle Kuzma, and Lonzo, and the rest of the Lakers squad for that matter. Because, by getting Isaiah Thomas and getting rid of Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance Jr., who are two great players, I wish they were never gone away to begin with. Even though it was a good reason why they got Isaiah Thomas. Let's see. What was I gonna say again? I forgot. So, anyways, so all I want to think about is, all Lakers should think about right now is what's gonna happen in the offseason. But for now, in what's left of the season, I would consider resting the starters a little bit more, give the second stringers and third stringers an opportunity to prove themselves on the court, and so on and so forth, making sure that they have some exposure to actually playing as starters. Give Lonzo his rest. Although he didn't play, he might actually be injured. Give Isaiah Thomas his rest. Give Brook Lopez his rest. Give Kyle Kuzma some more minutes than he usually gets. Give Julius Randle his rest. Give the starters some rest. Give him some rest. Put some few minutes here and there just to get some action going, and all that type of stuff. And just hope that they get ready for the next season per se, because right now the season is practically over for them. All that they need to do is just wrap up the next few games, and that's a wrap. But they're already eliminated, so they might as well consider not even playing that much compared to what they have done in the rest of the season. Sorry, and what has been the season so far. But yeah, again, that postseason, not that postseason again. Oh man, I'm just bad at this. The off season should be where it's at for Lakers. Like I said earlier in this video, and I'll say again, the off season is what they should be looking at. What are they gonna do to get that draft pick that they need to get? I know that they can't. That they won't get a top tier draft pick, but at least get a mid tier first round draft pick, like from 15th to 20th, and try to find a sleeper between those picks, somebody who might be under the radar, because try to get a player that could possibly change things, mix things up a bit, and make the Lakers a better team, an even better team. I don't know. It might just be time to I don't know what they're gonna do to get that mid-tier draft pick. I honestly don't know who should they draft. Honestly, I think they're in a dire situation where they have the players to go forward, but they're not sorry, I'm coughing. They're not in a situation where they're in a situation where they have the players to go forward, but they don't have they don't have favorable assets, because if they trade a player, they might end up ruining the entire experiment. So if I were them, I would skip the draft in the first round at the very least, go straight to the second round and see if there's a sleeper right there, and try to see if I can get one superstar free agent in free agency period per se, because they already have the young talent that's already developing. Brandon Ingram has proven to be a great player. A better player than he was last year. Lonzo has been coming up. Has been coming on his own lately. His shots have been falling more. But the thing is, when it comes to Lonzo, he's not a shooter. When people say, "Oh, he must be more aggressive," what I think on the back of my mind is, he's not a shooter. He's a pass-first point guard. His job is not to shoot the ball and score 20 points a night. His job is to make sure that his teammates get better scoring opportunities. Make sure that Brandon Ingram gets some touches. Brook Lopez, Julius Randle, Kyle Kuzma, who's ever on the court at that moment. His job is to make sure that those other guys on the court get better looks to score better. Now that it's vital that he shoots great. It is vital, because if he shoots great, at least 42% from 3-point line, that means that the defense cannot sleep on him, and that means that they're gonna have to look at all 5 players, and so that they're gonna have to defend all 5 players, which means that with some pick and rolls and some quick footwork, whatever, they might be able to give other players open looks. And if other players get open looks, they might overlook Lonzo. And if people overlook Lonzo, he can get. If he has a night where he's scoring more than half of his shots, then he will just let it go, and it's an automatic 3 or 2-pointer, depending on where he is on the line. The Lakers are a team that could potentially be disastrous for the rest of the league if they can pull it off right. What center should they pick for next year? I'm not sure. Could they keep Brook Lopez? Again, he hasn't been the best version of himself this year, but then again, that's because other players have been playing pretty well this year. But yeah, I would consider keeping him around, mostly because the Lakers, before having Brook Lopez, they had a center that just couldn't be that good to begin with. Like Timothy Mozgov, he's not that great of a center to begin with. The year prior, it was Roy Hibbert, a washed up version of Roy Hibbert. And by the way, what the hell happened with Roy Hibbert? I remember that there was a time when he was with Indiana. He was helping the Pacers to actually get to the conference finals. But then what happened? I have no idea. But the video is not about Roy Hibbert. And in the year before that, they had Jordan Hill. And honestly, Brook Lopez is the best center that the Lakers have had in the past few years. I'm sorry, but it's the absolute truth. Nobody else has been as good as Brook Lopez has been of a center over the past few years. And is that sad? Well, it kind of is when you look at the history of the Lakers as a whole, when having big men, when having centers. Just at the beginning of this decade, Andrew Bynum was at its, let's just say, his prime, when he was doing really well. Sure, injuries hindered his performance, but when he was playing, he was actually doing really well. And before before that, the team, you gotta know that at the beginning of the 2000s, it was Shaq dominating, and he was doing as much as he could, and then you get the point. The Lakers have had a long history of having some of the best centers that the NBA can have, and the fact that they don't have that, I mean, it kind of makes you think what the Lakers have turned into. But then again, the current NBA is not designed for NBA centers, the stereotypical NBA center, to be that fantastic of a player. You know, today and age, you want to be considered a great center, you got at the very least have a post game and a 3-point shot. You gotta be a player like DeMarcus Cousins or Anthony Davis or Karl Anthony Towns. You know, players that can, centers that can not only do the work inside but also do the work outside, shooting the 3-ball. You know, that would be more of a prototypical big man. Who will they get? I have no idea. Will they be able to trade for Marc Gasol and or get back Pau Gasol and get what's remaining of him? I don't know. The thing is, the Lakers need a center. Even if it means just to play defense, it might make more of a difference than you might actually think. Who knows what's gonna happen? It might happen, it might not. Will they keep Brook Lopez? Will they do something else? I have absolutely no idea. But when focusing on the offseason, they should focus on getting a superstar player and try to also focus on having a good center. At the very least, a good defensive center. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Also remember to check out my other channel, Dynamite, and also make sure to check out my other series, MLB The Show 18. See you guys next time with another video. Peace.